On today's episode of Garage Talk, it was kind of like a yin and yang of our racing leagues with Indy Racing and Wednesday Night Dash.
And we look at the first IndyCar on Fox race. Was it good? Was it bad? We'll tell you in a minute.
And NASCAR hit the streets, road course, whatever you want to call
Of
it.
course.
They win all over the place apparently at COTA. So we take a look at that and we look at some books. Is this a book club or a podcast?
It is a
Find
book
out now.
club. All right, welcome to FR Racing's Garage Talk. I'm DJ Fluck.
I'm Eric Richardson.
And tale of two races for you, Eric.
Oh, yeah, so much so. I finally what I would determine a rage quit this past week.
So the reference there is on Tuesday night.
I cannot hear you. Did you mute yourself?
I did mute myself. I was moving my mic and I muted myself. Our
Technical
our
difficulties.
our Indy Racing World Series race was a disaster. You want to call it a disaster?
Yeah, I think we could.
It was a disaster.
It was not good. When the third place car was what, 56 laps down?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yes.
third place finished 56 laps down, and only two cars finished the race total. It was like Ricky Bobby. Well, no cars finished Ricky Bobby in the Talladega race, but
I think what
uh,
I quit on lap 30.
I quit on lap 25 because um, I don't know. It was weird. We went to New Hampshire. It was a weird situation. Um, you
I was doing
dove.
practice and it was very overcast and car felt great. But I had kind of the simulated weather, not static. And for the race, we had some sunshine and partly cloudy. So the track warmed up and it got slick.
And there were some weird bumps on that track too at New Hampshire. I don't know if we said that or not, but um, my first incident was like 4 laps in, and I dove a little too deep, and I went over this bump in like turn one, and then just lost the back end and just slid up into the wall. And I'm like, well, this is how this night is gonna go.
Yeah, I got a little loose coming out of two. I was on the low line, and it seemed like the low line just bit everybody. If you weren't middle of the track, there wasn't much you could do. And I thought I was going to save it, but just caught the inside wall enough. Like, you are meatballed. Ah, great.
It
So I was kind of
doesn't
mad at that point already.
doesn't take much.
So I pit, come back out. I'm driving it hard because I'm not being smart. And it got a little loose off of two again. And I just went, you know what? I'm done. So I floored it to make it crash, which we only have one fast repair and I'd already used it. So I was done.
Uh, so my second incident, I could have had it repaired, but I'm like, if I had two wrecks in the first 23, 24, 25 laps, whatever it was, like this isn't going to go well. So I just called it. The problem is I left the car essentially running and got out. And about 25 laps later, I hear poof. And I look over, I go back into the pit, and my car is smoking because I just let it on for too long. I'm like, whoops. All right, well, I'm done now. You know, I was
Yeah,
repaired. I
it
could have
was
gone back out, and I just,
early enough in a race. I should have stayed out. I might have been able to pick up a couple, three positions.
yeah, I just, it is what it is. But hey, you know what? Good for Derek. Derek
Yeah,
Booker
Derek
snapped
back
a
in the winner's
long
circle.
streak of no wins. It's been a few seasons for him, but he's had some bad luck. But good for him.
Yeah, great to see him back on top.
I don't want to talk about that race anymore.
Yeah, let's move on. I'm done with it. This was
Martins says
one real quick
Wednesday.
thing though.
Yeah.
We did actually take this off the schedule last season because iRacing took the setup away and it wasn't available. So we're probably gonna no more New Hampshire.
No more New Hampshire.
So if you're listening, Racing Indy Series, we're not going back there. Too bad.
Yeah. The track looks good since the reskin though. Looks really good.
Yeah, a lot of
Girls,
fun, but
That was one of the
Too chaotic.
oldest, like that was one of the first scan tracks into iRacing back in the day, first NASCAR tracks, and it needed an update for sure, but it looks good now.
Yeah, it was fun.
So Wednesday Night Dash, this is the one that I've had circled on the calendar since the schedule went out last like November.
It's
That
like a
I just
little softer that happened.
it cringed. I cringed for this week coming up, and I'm like, I went in. I said, okay, so we have our we're calling it the WFU caution now is its new name, the we effed up caution. And basically if we lose more than 50% of the field in a single accident, we throw a caution and let
And the track
everybody
is narrow. We could have pulled a Chicago street race and had a 20 car blockade.
yeah, yeah. So I was fully anticipating that happening tonight. And we also put in a provision that said if the track is completely blocked, throw the caution. We had Taka playing de facto race control, and we didn't. We didn't. We made it to the stage break relatively uneventful. There were a couple, it's Martinsville. There were moments. We had a couple of rough moments after the caution that led to the race being under protest, and uh, can't comment on it. That's up for the committee, but there were multiple protests filed post race, and we'll let the committee make a decision. And but
As of
hey,
recording, things are in a protest. So when you're hearing this, we may have the resolutions at that point.
Eric,
Yeah, finish second.
yeah, one there was a car that the lead group uh a slower car wrecked trying to get off the track, made a bad decision, and ended up causing the lead pack to wreck, which ended up playing out to Garrett Jarnigan's benefit and your benefit and Nick's benefit.
Yeah, congrats to Garrett. Picked up his first Wednesday
Yes.
night dash win. So good
Two
job.
well, we got a first time winner and then we've got a long time since the last win. So good week for that.
Yeah, it's great to finally get back on a podium in Wednesday night dash.
You got your post race interview in. I
Been a while
still
for that.
I walked out of there ninth. I was pretty happy. I mean, I got caught in some traffic jams. It's kind of hosed me, and I was a little bit off the pace, and I was being a little conservative with my driving because my goal was to try to finish uneventfully. That was my goal, and I accomplished that. I wasn't going to be aggressive, and
And in all of fairness, I really should have been in sixth place car tonight, which I still would have been thrilled about. I'd probably put in at least a good 500 laps of practice at Martinsville.
I mean, it also helps that it takes 19 and a half seconds, 20 seconds to complete a lap.
So yeah, ran a lot of laps, just getting a feel for the car. And
Once the first time I went out on Martinsville and I'm looking at braking and I just slide through the first turn and I'm just like, wow, you really have to brake early there and shift down.
yeah, it's definitely a lot different than I'm used to driving. But I actually really enjoyed Martinsville.
I enjoyed it far more than I thought I would.
And we did clarify pre-race that you could not pull a Ras
Yeah.
Chastain wall
Yes,
ride.
and but I gave that warning like 5 minutes before the end of practice, and then I said, "Hint, get it out of your system now." And
I think half the field tried it.
have to, but Nick Warboy pulled off probably the best imitation Chastain I've seen. He walked out there at an 18, it was like an 18.912 or something like that.
Yeah,
And
almost 4 tenths faster than than a
yeah,
normal lap.
yeah, 18.982 uh at the end, and it was perfect. He took it into the wall in fifth gear, hung it around. As soon as he got into out of turn four back onto the front stretch, he pulled it off the wall just a little bit and went flying across the line. John Miles pulled a 19021 on his wall ride.
I failed. I pretty much stopped on the middle of three and four.
So I'm gonna have to go see if I can get Nick's video and publish that of the
Tag NASCAR.
yeah, he pulled it off. I'll take iRacing, which I still think it was funny after Chastain pulled the wall ride. iRacing a couple hours later was like, "Hey, that was pretty cool, but just a reminder, you can't do that in iRacing."
Clarify it that it was in practice in a league race and
Yes,
fully allowable.
yes, it was a hint, hint, get it out of your system now kind of moment.
We post that tag iRacing, then Nick comes in like, I got suspended by iRacing. Right.
Sorry.
We'll reach out to them and see if we can clarify and get that lifted. Sorry.
I mean, I'm sure that won't happen. But
It's a league race. I think anything goes
yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean,
iRacing's like,
it's like
yeah,
if
whatever.
I mean, technically, you can still file
You can still
protest. Yeah,
protest.
you can still protest iRacing over league races. Um, Generally, it's let's keep it in house.
Yeah, generally those things are handled in-house.
We did a recruit. Remember that recruiting race we did the one time?
Oh yeah, we
I
filed a
I
protest on
filed a
something.
protest against this guy self spun. We were at I think Auto Club for ARCA
Yeah, it's Auto
cars.
Club Arca.
Yeah, guy self spun and tows. He finally comes back out of the pits and he sits at the pit exit. And as the cars are coming around, he just guns it straight out of the pit, up the wall, right into the middle of the field. And I desperately try. People saw what he was doing, and I'm desperately trying to get to the eject button to eject him from the session, and just missed out by like a second or two. I'm like, ah,
And that's what's changed our recruiting races.
yeah. Well, we haven't done a recruiting race since. I don't think
Did we do the Atlanta Next Gens before or after that?
that was before we did that. That was more of just an exhibition, and because we did that right after they released the new Atlanta config,
Had a
which
troll there too.
we
Couple trolls
did.
actually.
Yeah, but fortunately they left on their own. I don't understand why people would do that. Like you're paying money for this, you pay good money for this, and then you come into somebody's hosted session and just troll.
I don't get it.
Just whatever. People want to waste their money and ruin people's nights. You know what?
More power to you.
Whatever. So we're off next week for week 13. We counted correctly this year.
New official races page is going to be coming up.
Yeah, and the adaptive AI, which will be nice for the AI
It
racing.
learns as you learn. It'd be fun to see how that goes.
And I think we're going to see the ARCA car. Sounds like we're going to see the ARCA car.
If we do, that kicks a new thing into motion.
Oh, eventually. We still got some planning to do. We need to check it out first. Honestly, I think once that ARCA car comes out, we need to have a unofficial hosted race. Maybe if it
Hmm.
comes out next week, maybe.
Yeah, it'd be fun. We're an off week anyway.
Where
And
do
I
we
usually
go?
host something. I don't know. I usually host something on the off week.
Let's look at the ARCA schedule. I mean, you could go to Daytona, you could go to Talladega. That's the obvious. You could go to Phoenix.
I think we could do a restrictor plate or a good speedway. What they go to. Maybe I'll do Legend on Tuesday night.
So you remember last year when ARCA, so Phoenix weekend, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So it's Phoenix weekend. I'll be there Sunday. So if you are at the Cup race in Phoenix, say hi.
Look for him on TV.
Yeah,
Apparently,
look
he's
for me on
on the
TV because
carpet.
I will be on TV. I'm pretty confident of that. The question is, will they hand me a microphone? That's the real challenge. So this is the hat I'll be wearing. I've got the Stadium Scene TV hat. So if you see that hat, yes, it's me because there's only one hat like this in the world, and I own it. So if you see this hat, it's me.
See, that's cool.
Come,
Is I don't even have one of those.
come. It's so well. The thing is, I made this hat as a prototype, and then they discontinued it like right after I made the prototype. Like, well, one of a kind.
The one of one.
It's a Nike hat too. It's super nice. Dry fit Nike. But anyway,
Does Nike sponsors Masters or is it one of those golf things?
good
Probably.
job. Excellent. Well played. Good job.
Maybe they'll find a way in this year.
So if you look at the Arkham Menards, the full Arkham Menards series, you got Daytona, Phoenix, Talladega, Kansas, Charlotte, Michigan.
Ooh, let's go to Charlotte.
I think that's what I was thinking. Charlotte would be a good place to test it
That'd
out.
be fun.
Yeah, put it under the lights.
If it comes out Wednesday, Charlotte, under the lights. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do that. If the new ARCA car comes out next week, we're gonna test drive it next Wednesday night.
Let's run cautions and unlimited fast repairs.
Yeah.
Do like a 60 lap.
No practice before. That's the rule. Well, I mean, it's coming out Tuesday. If it comes out, it comes out Tuesday.
At most, you have 24 hours.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Let's do it.
So that is the tentative plan. If the ARCA car comes out, we are hosting a race with it Wednesday evening, normal race time.
I may
And
do a Legends race on Tuesday.
hey, you know what? Go
We
for
had
it.
fun last
Oh,
time.
they're retiring the rookie legends. And
Um,
they're updating like the physics model and everything on it, so it's no longer a Roblox car.
that'd be fun.
So that is confirmed for this season so far. But yeah, we'll maybe we'll pilot an ARCA if they announce it. Cross our fingers. Sounds like it's close. Gen 4, I think, is still a season away
Be fun.
though.
So, which series do we start with?
Well, real quick on Phoenix weekend. So I remember
Ah, yes.
last year, they do the ARCA race in the spring on Friday evening. And remember last year they had to cut it short like 20 laps because it rained.
But yeah,
Yeah, it rained in Phoenix in March. So like March, April, May, no rain at all. Like it does not rain. And it rained on Friday night and they had to cut the race short 20 laps. Guess what's in the forecast for Friday?
you have rain in
There's
forecast.
rain in the forecast. It hasn't rained in months.
Hey, take some of ours. We got rain today.
I will be happy to take your rain. Um, I right now some people are saying the rain will be in the morning, some people in the afternoon. So I'm very interested. One, how fast will it? It's not even that. It's not even gonna be that hot this weekend. I mean, they're forecasting low 70s at race time
That's
on
freezing
Sunday.
out there.
I know. Well, no, that's beautiful. That's what we want it to be. Uh, but it's yeah, but there's rain in the forecast on Friday.
Yeah, it's funny you're talking about how dry it is and the chance of rain, where if we get one more good snowfall or a couple more decent ones, we might actually hit 200 inches of snow this year.
We are having like the third lowest snow winter, like northern Arizona. Like, believe it or not, for those that are like live under a rock, not all of Arizona is like Phoenix. If you go up north, it gets up to like 7,000 feet and it snows. It should snow a lot, but like this is the second or third lowest snowfall total for the month or for the the winter season ever, which is not a good thing.
Wow.
Because basically, how it works is that you get all the snowpack, and then the snow comes down the mountain and ends up like, into the Colorado River, refills the Colorado River, which like five states share Colorado River, but the Colorado River is low right now. And it spills into like Lake Powell, Lake Mead. If you've been to Vegas, Lake Mead is like pretty low. Some of our wet water in Phoenix comes from or from the Colorado River. It goes all the way down our state line between California, and yeah, not happening. So um,
Hopefully
yeah,
this pack upstream is good.
yeah, yep. So it's the water conservation and like the people in charge of water here are just second to none as far as like water conservation goes. Yeah, they're saying like, we're fine. Like, even, we were having some, we're in a like year 30 of a mega drought essentially. And they said mega droughts typically last 30 years. So,
I would.
maybe we'll come out of that, but, um, we'll see. But anyway, there you go. There's your Arizona water lesson for the week.
Yeah, I think we're almost double our average snowfall.
Just, yeah, just put it in a pipe and just send it this way.
I'll see what I can do. I'll talk to some people. I'll talk to Canada.
Oh yeah, they're thrilled. They're thrilled with us right now.
I can throw a rock and hit them, so
Mm.
I'm close.
That might be a declaration of war right now if you do
Yeah, it might be.
that. Anyway, we had COTA this weekend.
Oh
And we
yeah.
had the IndyCar series. Where do you want to go? What's on your
Um,
yeah? What's on your plan? You
see,
Eric
I
Eric
made a cheat sheet for
Eric
once.
took notes. We used to do this before every episode, and then we gave up like what episode 15 or so.
Yeah, we started getting into a rhythm and kind of figured out what
Just
we were doing, so we just
riff.
went for it.
So
Um,
what's on your cheat sheet?
I don't know. Let's go for IndyCar. Fox debuted.
It was a good broadcast. I
I was gonna ask, did you think the IndyCar broadcast was better than the NASCAR one, even though it's the same network?
yes. Um, and the thing that drove me nuts about the NASCAR, I mean, Fox has been criticized for years, and I need to be careful because I have friends. I have friends there. So there was a moment late in the race where Kyle Busch is leading, Christopher Bell's chasing him. He's making his move. The camera's falling around, and then you lose him behind the grandstand, and you miss the pass basically, and you can hear. I think it was Clint Boyer like
Mhm.
audibly sigh on the broadcast because they missed it. And then there's just like after that, like 10 seconds of silence as this pass is like this is like the climax key moment of the race, and they missed it.
Yeah, it's really funny how going from one to the next, the broadcast was really so different. Maybe it's the tracks that they were on. I don't know, but I thought the IndyCar was it's pretty solid. There's some things that they can tweak, and I'd like to see. It'd be nice to know what tires are on, how much push to pass is left. I know they didn't really cycle through any of that,
Didn't
but
use any of the hybrid. I mean, they mentioned the hybrid, but they didn't like NBC had that hybrid tracker on there. They didn't use that I saw.
I feel like the biggest thing they were kind of stuck on like the top three cars the whole race. They
It was a
mentioned the
rough
Prema
first lap though.
drivers. Yeah, the first lap one incident, and then green the rest of the way. I like the broadcast, but I actually thought the race was kind of boring.
It was. I thought
You had the
I
tire
didn't.
strategies, and so it's kind of fun to see that, but it was just
I mean, I,
bland.
I I think the big story though is Scott Dixon didn't have a working radio.
Yeah, he had no communication. And it's funny. He says afterwards, like, yeah, I probably could have won.
Yeah, if I had a radio, I probably could have won. But it's like, can you imagine just how lonely that would be out there with nothing?
I want to, he's probably so dialed in, though. He probably still heard the crew chief or strategist in his ear. 'Cause he's been racing for what, 22, 23 years
20
now.
at least.
Like, I'm sure he knew exactly what was being said in his head.
I,
He's so in tune with that car that he knew exactly what he had to do.
the thing is, like, had he, let's just say, like, hypothetically, he like wrecks out because he doesn't have a spotter, doesn't have any, any help from his team on the radio. And I just picture this like Scott Dixon driving in silence, and just in his head, it's just got the "Hello, darkness, my old friend" the whole time. I might drive you nuts after about 2.5 hours of that.
Yeah, overall, kind of a standard race. A few surprises. He had Rosenquist in seventh.
Yeah.
I think he had a solid run after starting what,
Uh,
P3?
VK
Yeah,
in the
came
Dale
home
Coyne.
ninth,
Yeah, this is their first top 10 in a couple of years.
which I think that right there, first race out validates VK needed a ride.
Yeah.
And then you had Rossi in 10th. So you had an ECR car getting top 10, which we haven't really seen that in a while.
And I mean, both of those drivers are obviously very skilled.
Very talented.
And I mean, Dale Coyne's highlights of the last several years previously is you had a couple years of David Malukas at Gateway, and that was it.
Yes.
And that was it. That was literally it.
Had you had the opening lap incident that we referenced. It looked almost like a just chain reaction type thing where one car stacked up and then Willpower got into the back end on Siegel. I forget who got back in
No,
the back end of Willpower, and it just
no middle
caused some
finger.
chaos. Kind of tough. Lap one,
Yeah, that's
turn
brutal.
one.
I,
Well,
I
I
think
guess
like
what, turn two, three, because it has that little kink in there.
I'm not sure if there's anything worse in racing than a lap one wreck. It's like bring the hauler down there. You got all this practice. You get the qualification. You got
You have
the
the hype.
anticipation, the
Uh,
hype, and then you wreck on like the first couple turns of lap one.
so if this happens another couple more races, does Siegel lose his seat?
Wasn't
Because
really his fault
McLaren,
though. I
no,
mean,
he
I
got
know
run
they're
into.
quick. They're quick to boot, but I mean, he also bought his seat too. Does he get a little extra leeway because
I don't think so.
it's I think he's safe for the time being.
It's kind of funny. You get rid of the cars that DNF'd. Your next five are kind of who you expected to be there. When you look at the preseason driver list, that bottom five finishers are like, yep, that's where they were going to be. Does not matter what car they're in. And that's why it was so crazy when like VK doesn't have a job, Linus Lundqvist doesn't have a job still.
Yep.
I think we see him in a seat before the end of the
You
season.
have to. I mean, he had a multi-year deal with Ganassi until he lost his seat.
And that was due to IndyCar downsizing
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't his fault.
and
I mean, it was
limiting the
just
teams. And Ganassi has to go, well, we're not getting rid of a series champion. We're not getting rid of Dixon.
yeah. Hello and Dixon, you guys are safe. Dixon, you're
Kind of
good till whatever
surprising
you
they
want to
kept
hang it up.
Simpson over the other two, but there's more to it.
Yeah. It's a business.
But overall, some solid runs. Hopefully, we see a. I want to see more just racing in action on the road courses. Indy road course racing after maybe your top two or three, just it's boring. It's kind of like
I,
Formula One.
I don't know how this is gonna be received, but I just think the Thermal Club as a race is just the stupidest idea when you're trying to grow the reach of your sport. I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but is Thermal Club next?
Yes,
Yeah, so Thermal Club is next. So it's like for those who aren't familiar, Thermal Club is basically a country club racetrack in Palm Springs, California. And it's not meant to host like it's for a bunch of rich dudes who want to bring their Corvette out and drive it on the track. And there's houses around it, very very limited seating, and it's like you're trying to expand the reach of your house and you're having a race at a country club essentially. I just think it's so dense.
the other issue I had, it had what 165,000 people, what throughout the course of the weekend. I don't
Yeah.
think that was for race day.
Mm,
And then what 1.4 million viewers.
yeah, it's their best non-Indy 500 race in since 2011.
So you have that. You have all this momentum, and now you sit for 3 weeks.
Sit for 3 weeks until you go to the country club.
They do not race again until March 23rd. 21 days in between races.
I mean, and the thing is, like, it sucks that they got booted from Texas because, I mean, you'd have Texas in there,
Yeah, normally you would have.
and I think Long Beach is probably my second favorite race on the calendar. I think that track's a lot of fun. I think the environment is great. It's
I would move Long Beach up there before I would have put Iowa when they were running hundreds of passes, but then this past year when they had
that
like 12, it, I'm glad I wasn't at that race.
snooze fest.
The one I went to was amazing.
I mean, the TV, they're getting better on the TV, but now it's like let's be real here. We got to work on the schedule.
Yeah, schedule needs improvement. If we can add two more races, let's even get to
You
19.
know what? Let's go to Phoenix.
Phoenix would be awesome.
Let's go to Phoenix. Come on, I'll be there. I'll be in the front row, and I'll be standing behind the big cactus flag stand, and we can go green, and I'll be standing there going, yeah.
I get IndyCar is fast enough, and there's safety concerns on some of the tracks that they go to, and we've seen what happens at like Vegas. But
Or look at like their Auto Club race that they did in 2015. That was
Chicagoland was always
like Chicagoland is right
fantastic.
there. Like, let's come on, let's use it.
But we have the aero screen now. They've made tremendous safety improvements. Safer barriers keep getting better.
Chicagoland was consistently good. There were some amazing finishes over the year at
It's what
Chicagoland.
two of the top three closest
Close,
finishes
yeah.
are there.
Like, what are we doing? I mean, I get that like NASCAR controls the track and they're being a pain, but like, come on, Raj, you've got some push. You're Roger Penske. Act like it.
And definitely take safety considerations into it. But drivers understand the risks when they step into the car. And you look at Indianapolis, when they qualify, they're going to be top in 245
I mean,
with this new hybrid system.
Indy had that incident a couple years ago with the tire that cut and broke loose and flew over the wall, and fortunately, it just hit a car parked parked there.
Yeah, it hit a nice big gap, luckily,
Yeah, that
but
could
that
have been
tire
really.
launched.
That could have been bad.
That's one section over from where I traditionally sit.
That could have been bad. But yeah, I'm
But
uh
3 weeks, Thermal Club.
I'm in the process of reading Paul Page's book right now, and as soon as I finish it, I'm gonna reach out and try to see if we can get him to come on.
That'd be cool. Maybe a fun person to talk
But
to.
it's his book is good. So his book, he's telling a story of how he got into broadcasting and like he loved Indianapolis. He lived in Chicago. He used to take as a kid, he used to take the train down, stay with his uncle, um, who lived in Speedway. And he'd go to the race and he loved it. And he's like, I have to be a part of this, and eventually worked his way in. But he's telling story. But the thing is, as he's telling his story, he's telling the history of the track in the process. And so he gets back to the very beginning with, Carl Fisher and the dirt and gravel and realized, oh, this isn't safe. And then they pave it with 3.2 million bricks. And, and his favorite driver when he was a kid was Eddie Sachs, who was just kind of a larger than life personality who, like, unfortunately, too many people in that era died during the 500. Um, and just, kind of telling this story of how he got to where he was. He was a terrible student and he was terrible at interviewing and when he got his first radio jobs and he got fired and um, he ended up having to join the National Guard during the Vietnam War so he wouldn't get drafted and you know and that's kind of where I am right now. He hasn't made it into Indy yet, but he's telling the story of how like Tony Hallman comes in and he's like, "Hey, we need to get the reach out for the 500 and make this bigger." And that's where they started the whole like Indy 500 radio network or Indianapolis Motor Speedway radio network. And it was almost a flop. Like it did not take off immediately. And then they realized, oh, okay. And, next thing you know, like all these stations are carrying, from armed down to armed forces radio are playing the Indy 500. And it's showing the behind the scenes of why the Indy 500 became the event it is today. So it's really, really good so far. I'm only about 60 pages. It's like 250, 275 pages. I'm about 60, 70 pages in so far.
I think I actually have that book saved in my Amazon cart right now.
It's good. I highly recommend it. The thing is, like, I was exhausted the other night and I started the book and then I read like 60 pages and I'm like, oh, guess I'm not that exhausted. It's just, I start reading. I read a lot. I did not read, you know firsthand. I did not read when I was a student. But like you can see my bookshelf over here. This is just one of my bookshelves. I have a second one off screen here. I have read every book on this shelf. And I've been keeping track of my reading and I've read like tens of thousands of pages since like 2018, 2019. Like I started reading when my kids were born And so they'd go to bed and they'd sleep in our room in the crib. And so I'd have to turn the light off, and I had this little night light, and I'd clip it to my shirt. And so I'd start reading. The kids would go to bed at like 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and I'd be sitting there in the dark with the night light on reading. And then I'm just like, next thing I know, I'm reading about, Carol Shelby, and I've recommended this many times before, the Indie Split book. This
That's
is
in
an
my card
amazing,
as well.
it is a great read. But
I need to do better at reading. I'll get in kicks and read a lot,
and
and then
then
I'll
you got
go a
the
while and won't touch it.
Suello's Alameda's motor racing book. His story is incredible, by the way.
He's doing great.
He's really doing great. Uh, but yeah, like I've really become like a reader as I've gotten older, which is hilarious based on the fact that during all of high school I read one book,
You know
cover
the
to cover.
difference right now, we're reading stuff that we're interested in.
That's
We're not being
exactly it.
told what we have to read.
That is exactly it. I had zero interest in reading Shakespeare. I didn't care about The Crucible. I didn't care about Lord of the Flies. The only book I read cover to cover in high school was To Kill a Mockingbird. I don't know why, but I was just I would try to read these books and I just couldn't. And I faked my way through the quiz.
I did that a lot through college as well.
Yeah. And and but To Kill a Mockingbird was just, for some reason, it was so compelling that even 15-year-old ADD me was able to read it all the way through.
Should I share what project I'm working on, or should I
How far
wait?
along are you?
Right
I
now, it's I kind of
I
need
never
responses from people
did I
to
ever fill out mine?
no.
I don't think I did. I owe
Right
you a
now, I
response.
need to just get to a point where I'm getting responses in, because then that's going to help me kind of dictate where it goes next.
I need to give you some responses because I suck. I completely forgot about that until you just mentioned it. I'm looking through. Actually, one of my favorite reads, I've got two here that stand out. That if you're looking for some reading advice, um, this first one, Ross Braun, who ran Braun GP, the Jensen Button won that championship in 2009 that nobody was expecting, and he worked for Ferrari for a long time. I think he's currently like a competition director. This book is like a conversation between the other author and Ross, and it's just like a back and forth between them. Really, really good. Check this out. And then this book is unbelievable. And during the 2008 economic recession, and even before that, you don't realize how close to financial ruin Ford was in. And ultimately, Bill Ford Jr. essentially put his ego aside and hired Alan Mulally, who was an executive at Boeing, who was the not the brains behind, but he ran the project team behind the Dreamliner, I believe, and actually did a lot for Boeing and was kind of expected to take over as the next CEO of Boeing. And they didn't give him the job. And so they stole him for Ford. Everyone's like, why are you hiring a Boeing executive to run Ford who's never worked in the automotive industry? And you remember when the market crashed and all these auto executives showed up in Washington in 2009-ish, and they're like, we need money or we're screwed. And Chrysler took money, GM took money, Ford did not take money. They ended up like essentially mortgaging their own on themselves. And everyone's like, okay, Ford is dead. That is the stupidest thing you can do. And it ended up being what saved them. And that book, it's called American Icon. And they sit down with Alan and they sit down with Bill Ford Jr. and get like direct stories and quotes out of it. Like, this is not just some hearsay book. Like, you're getting commentary firsthand from these guys to understand like how close to financial ruin Ford was in the early 2000s. Like, really, really close to financial ruin.
Yeah, it's fun. You're reading books like that, really get into depth in the history. The level of reading that I'm on, I'm pretty much here
It's no
with
offense to
Joseph's Big
Andy. I mean,
Dream.
it's a good
I mean,
book.
if you haven't checked it out yet, check out any of the Red Racer books. Andy Amendola is a
Yes. And he just released a new one.
fantastic author. And yeah, just released another new book. What? Good Night Racetrack.
So,
I believe I have that right.
so this book right here, I got this when I was in like high school. It was like a Christmas present from my parents, and I never read it. It's called Lost Moon. It's Jim Lovell, who was on Apollo 13, co-wrote this book. Oops, you can't really see it, but it is signed by Jim Lovell.
That's cool.
Yeah. So and it's just like one of those things. Like as a teenager, you don't really like understand or respect that, and it's just like this is so cool. My other one is got the Tony Dungy Mentor Leader,
Signed by Tony Dungy.
signed by Tony Dungy.
I don't have it in here with me, but Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s book. I have that one, and it's a signed copy.
Oh, I also have Gene Katie's autobiography, The
The
Legendary Basketball
man
Coach,
with a personalized
with
note.
a personalized. I met him. Nice guy, by the way.
Gene's awesome,
He's
but
nuts
I
on the
mean, we are
court, but such an
biased.
amazingly nice man. But once you got on the court and you'd see the comb over bump, bounce up and down, it was all business.
You know, he was always good, but when he got rid of his jacket, that's when you
Oh,
knew
you knew
he
when the
was
jacket was coming off, you were
not
going to get a
happy.
technical foul.
There was a technical coming within about 2 minutes. That was Gene. Although he never threw a chair like that other guy.
Yeah, that one dude from down south. Do you know they pulled that chair out for the Purdue IU game the other week? Like, come on.
That chair is famous. Probably the, what, second most famous chair in history?
What's the first?
Abraham Lincoln's Ford Theater seat.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen that, by the way. It is in Detroit.
Really? Oh, at the Henry Ford?
Yes.
Oh, I've seen it too. I forgot about that.
And it's,
Henry Ford's a great place.
yeah, it's a fun museum. They actually have the bus that Rosa Parks sat in. So I was on that bus. JFK's limos there. There's racing history there as well.
Yeah, they
It's
have.
a
I think they
very
have one of.
cool place.
I think they have one of the Carroll Shelby Le Mans GT40s
Yes, I
at
believe
one
so.
point. They may still have it. It's been years since
There's
I've been there.
if you're in the Detroit area, I know Detroit gets a bad rap, but check out the Henry Ford Museum.
Mm.
There is a lot of very cool American history there. Definitely a place I want to go back to.
Yeah, and the thing is with the Rosa Parks bus, they let you go on the bus.
Yes. Yep.
And like this is where she sat. So I'm sitting in the spot Rosa Parks sat infamously sat in. It's unreal. Like I can't believe they let you go on that. That's still
Yeah, and get right there with history, which is really cool.
okay. Either I didn't get that fly earlier or there's another fly in my room.
If there's one, there's two.
There's always flies. Um,
So we were talking about IndyCar and
yeah,
we
yeah, we went off the target.
hey,
Books.
as you listen to us, this happens. If you're a first time listener, we'll start somewhere, but we end up way over here,
Welcome to the book club.
more or less.
Oh yes, we're sitting here talking about books. Where have we come?
Sit down, enjoy a drink. We do most nights.
Yeah.
Well, nights that we record. We're not alcoholics.
I got this one last book here. This is hilarious. I got this as a gift from Kate, who's my partner at Stadium Scene. She sent this to me for my birthday one year. Like sending a message?
So I should find it and send it to you. You remember the show Entourage, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
I got it's a fun parody book. Hilarious to read. It's Ari Standard or Ari Gold's The Gold Standard. And it's written just like Ari from Entourage.
I've met Jeremy Piven.
Oh, really? I don't think
I
I knew that.
I have met I met Jeremy Piven. Completely. I mean, there was the uh the claims from his from a few years ago that kind of derailed his career from the uh Me Too movement and being accused of sexual assault. That yeah, but he like counted it, saying he did a lie detector test, which but the thing is like the weirdest thing about meeting Jeremy Piven is he's so soft spoken. And he's just like the complete opposite of Ari Gold. And that was like the most surprising thing
That's
about him. Was I
if you
that
haven't
was
watched Entourage, look up the character Ari Gold. He's in like the most brash, outspoken, you name it.
obnoxious, arrogant,
And he's
loud.
hilarious, says he's doing it.
But yeah, he was very, very soft spoken, very calm, very just very casual in how he spoke. And yeah,
That's awesome.
Jeremy Piven.
Big fan of Jeremy Piven. A
Yeah,
lot of roles.
old school. Um, what else? Anyway, yeah, IndyCar, we criticized it.
We don't get to talk much about it for 3 weeks now, unfortunately.
COTA, I think the race was pretty good at COTA.
So they reconfigured the track.
They did.
They took about a mile off of it.
They did.
And NASCAR being NASCAR, they changed the rules over the course of the weekend.
No.
And they changed what they were going to officiate in terms of track limits.
And Kyle Busch on the radio, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Like, is that allowed? And
Well,
even
it's
the
funny, the
broadcast
as
booth.
yeah, they were even commenting of like, what is going on? The S's there, what, three, four, five?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a straight line. They weren't even trying to make the S's.
Makes the Formula One fans cringe.
But if you're gonna say you're gonna judge track limits, judge the track limits. It's not hard. The start of the weekend, they actually put like barriers in certain spots, and I think they got rid of them by Sunday.
It's funny. Hunter Hughes sent me a DM on Instagram with the FIA like track limits, and they're like, it's the emojis like holding up a gun, and NASCAR's like, yeah, and it says like, what are even track limits? And I said, at this pace, the COTA property line.
Might as well just make COTA an oval because that's what they tried to do.
That was fun. Oh, it was fun.
It's a good
That was
race.
fun. I liked it.
I think it is my biggest complaint. If you're going to talk about track limits, let's actually put track limits and have to drive the track, not how you want to get around the track.
Did shortening of the track make that much of a difference?
I actually think it helped. Made it
Yeah,
quicker laps.
well, I mean, yeah, it made quicker laps. And the thing is, like, if people were pitting under green, or trying to short the get in right before the stage break, it didn't, they didn't have as much of a gap as they otherwise would have. And
I think it was good. You had drivers that were trying to flip the stage to maximize their points to salvage what they knew was going to be probably a rough weekend. How about Chase Elliott's drive, though? Finished fourth after being pretty much
dumped.
last. Yeah, Ross Chastain, hmm,
Carson
complains
Hocevar's
about
like,
a driver
Carson.
being overly aggressive. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, I mean, he had the space, but there was no way he was going to make the turn without hitting someone. And he drove into the side of Chase Elliott, tore up a couple other cars in the process. Connor Zelich took damage. Nate Hamlin lost his right front fender.
Hamlin got dumped later in the race too by somebody.
What? Austin Dillon.
Was it?
Well, they tangled together. Dillon got stuck.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
Dylan.
yeah, you go from Daytona or no, it was Atlanta. complaining about moves being made and being overly aggressive, and then
It's like,
you go and
dude,
try and pass 8 cars and
that's the
turn
Ross
them
we
up the
all
hill.
know and remember.
Uh, Kind of big surprise in the top 10. Noah Gragson,
Good for him. He's,
8.
yeah, good for him.
Everybody else, you're kind of seeing the usual suspects up there in the top 10. Your road course guys, Bell and Byron, who are going to finish 1, 2 in like every race, it seems like this year.
Kyle Busch drifted down,
Close.
but still had a decent day.
I think he gets a win this year. As much as I want to be like, I hate Kyle Busch and I want to see it happen, I think he's going to get there.
I think he could too. Yeah, Reddick, Chase, Kyle was fifth, SVG was sixth, Busher was seventh, Gregson eighth, Bowman ninth, Todd Gilliland 10th.
After week 3 of fantasy, I lead you by 1 point.
Do you really?
Yep.
You gotta be kidding me.
Is a 1 point gap right now.
So coming up this weekend is Phoenix. Best race on the schedule.
So there's one big thing we didn't touch with
What's
COTA yet.
what's that?
Does Austin Cindric get suspended for right hooking Ty Dillon?
I don't think I even saw that.
Is a lap for Dillon ran him wide. They're going down the front stretch. He's got who's in 34 now? Is it Gilliland?
Yeah. Yeah, because
He's
Zane
on his
Smith's in the
outside.
38.
Dillon is in the middle. Cindric comes back on and he hooks him right rear, spins Dillon out. Now we've seen Bubba Wallace do it to Kyle Larson on an oval. I think
In
it was
Vegas.
Vegas.
And
You
then
have
shove
Chase
him.
Elliott on Denny Hamlin at what, Charlotte?
When was the last time we had a good I mean, last year was the All-Star race. That was our last kind of driver scuffle.
Stenhouse and Bush. I think before that it was Bubba going after Larson.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago.
But does NASCAR officiate a road course differently than they do an oval?
I mean, they
Is Ty
officiate
Dillon took a
ovals
hard right?
differently. They officiate ovals differently from week to week. Like what. This is
So
like whose line?
kind of big question right now because I have not seen or heard as of the recording of this. And 4 hours prior, I was looking.
I would think you'd have heard something by now.
I think so too.
I think he's gonna get away with it then.
But if they don't, then it's 3 races in a row. Well, it already is 3 races in a
Cindric
row. There's
penalized
must have broke.
12 hours ago.
So I missed it.
Cindric was penalized. Um, as a result, Cindric lost 50 driver's points and was fined $50,000, dropping him from 11th to 35th in the standings. They stopped short of giving him a suspension, which they referenced Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson from 2022 and Chase Elliott versus Denny Hamlin in Charlotte 2023.
It's different because you're on a road course moving slower.
Cindric wasn't suspended. It says the reasoning Cindric wasn't suspended included the race being on a road course with lower speeds and tighter confines already, and that the incident didn't lead to a caution flag. All right.
That's tough.
Well, and the 5 team has been issued some crew suspensions
We knew that was coming
after
because
a
he lost a
wheel.
tire,
Yeah, we lost the wheel.
and that's standard.
Correct.
Other big points news. Chase Briscoe is no longer in the negative.
Hey,
Joe Gibbs won the appeal.
they did.
So they returned all their points and he's no longer in the negatives.
All right. Yeah, Coach Gibbs said he's like, we've got a pretty good appeal. We think we've got a good appeal here. So, um, real quick, as we're closing in on our hour here, Phoenix this weekend. I will be there on Sunday. Look for me on TV. for the pre-race show. My kids got selected to be on the red carpet to high five the drivers during intros. So if they put
Be
the driver
watching.
intros on TV,
Hopefully they do.
probably see me be advertising in the process. So if you're
We
there, come say
still
hi.
got Phoenix. Still have another week until we visit Australia. Be nice to get that season going.
Yeah, very interesting to see because I don't think we're going to see some Red Bull dominance this year.
I'm interested to see what happens after about week 4. Because I think you, at that point, already start seeing some teams throwing the towel.
Especially with 2026 coming up and everything changing.
I have seen rumored they're maybe considering going back to the V10s. I'm all for it.
I'm okay. I'm good.
Fuel technology's gotten better. Let's do it.
Let's
Let's get
hear
rid of
that.
these hybrids.
Let's get that noise back there.
Oh yeah,
Got to bring that noise back. Martin
that
Brundle's
is Formula
100%.
One.
Yeah, Martin Brundle's 100% approving that move.
You can get
He
that noise back from Formula One back in the late 90s.
yeah, early 2000s. I mean, as a kid growing up, you think of Michael Schumacher and that high pitched squeal.
You get that engine turning 12, 13,000 RPMs. Yeah,
I'll take it. Yeah,
I
Martin
want the
Brundle
Indy
once
cars that sound like the NASCARs again.
infamously said on a broadcast something to the extent of the hybrid was like one of the worst decisions Formula One ever made, or something to that extent.
Be good. Take a lot of weight out of the cart too.
That'll be interesting.
We'll see what happens though. We got time on that.
We'll see.
It's either going to end up being a really amazing Formula One season, or it's going to be one that it's like, can we just be done? Because nobody cares at this point, except for the team in first and driver in first. Somebody could steal the title this year. You
I
think
feel
Ferrari
like
goes all in to see if they get Lewis number 8 and
yeah, you kind of think they
be the
have
team
to.
that got it?
Yeah, you kind of think they have to. I mean, they're going to be up there. I mean, as long as Ferrari doesn't do Ferrari things, which
That's kept definitely capable of that.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's you have kind of have to think McLaren is still the favorite for the constructors, but I don't think it's like last year we were like, oh, Red Bull's going to run away with this, and for a while it looked like nobody
For
could
what,
touch
first five
Max.
weeks, and then kind of went downhill. Max is probably also like 5, 6 races in from swearing up a storm to get a suspension
Yeah, and
just because he's going to
he
have a baby on the way.
yeah he said he was going to target if he's going to get suspended, he's going to do it so he uses it as paternity leave. So like, good for him. The chaos agent thrives.
Oh, as much as people want to hate Max, I really like Max.
I like
He's
he's really
funny.
grown on me in the last like the first few years. It's like, oh God, this guy's so whiny. If he's not winning, he's whining. But it's like he's turned into the chaos agent as he's gotten older. Like, this is great. I heard a rumor that Susie Wolf is
Gonna be
gonna,
running up for president.
yeah, gonna try to
There's a lot
restore
of people
order in the
not
FIA.
happy with current leadership.
It's a joke. I mean, it's a joke. Like this, there's
In
no other way
fact,
to
you want
put
to
it.
find drivers for the race radio conversations. Like, come on. You have guys going 180 miles an hour under enormous amounts of stress, mind and body. They're not thinking about what they're
Oh
saying.
no, they said some potty words. Oh no.
Like other
Anyway.
things, if you don't like what you hear, press mute.
Or don't watch the driver channel. They bleep it on television anyway.
Yeah, change the channel, watch the highlights. There's ways around it.
I still think one of my favorite profanity moments on a radio was when Leclerc went to pit at Monaco that one year and they weren't ready for him and they're like, stay out. But he's like already in the pits. And he just starts like cursing up a storm. What are you doing?
I think it was Byron after COTA. He's interviewing, said a word. I'm like, oh, find him, find him. He said a naughty word.
Your rules do not apply. All right. So Phoenix coming up this weekend. Like I said, if you're gonna be there, come say hi. If you're not gonna be there, look for me on TV. So, all right, I'm gonna put some odds down. What's the chances that I get to say something on the Fox pre-race show?
I don't know about saying anything, but I'll give you a pretty good positive over under for at least waving.
Yeah, I'll be in the background and I'll just break out the dance moves in the back.
Be in the background like we were before.
Yes, that's a safe bet. If I'm in the background of live television, which I have done that before, that I have started dancing on live television.
I almost need to find a way to get out to Phoenix so I can or we can recreate our hey, we're in the
Hey, look
background
at us. We're here right in the front row. Dale Jarrett, Kyle Petty, and then the two of us.
like 50 yards behind him.
But the way it looked, we were just like right in between the two of them.
Right there.
It was a perfect view.
Yeah, we had perfect spot.
Yeah, I was a few years ago. I went to a Phoenix Suns game, and they do the pregame show from like a stage in the arena, or it was just outside the arena, and like they have like this beer garden. And so I'm standing out there, and I'm texting people like, "Turn on the Suns pregame show." And they're like, "Why?" Like, look for the red jacket in the back. And I start going like background on live television, like, "Yeah, we saw you." And then I got elbowed in the ribs by my wife.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, she's like, "No,
I'm sure I've been on pregame shows before as I've walked behind the stats of like Detroit Tigers, Colorado Rockies.
he just kind of turned and just like,
This is wild. Like, especially if I'm wearing the opposing team stuff, like, hey, especially if they won. Right, get out of
oh,
here.
live TV. Yeah. Yeah, so that's my goal for this weekend is I was trading emails with Chris Myers today. So he told me where to go find him. So I'm gonna see like, can I have a microphone for like a minute?
That'd be
Yeah.
cool to be able to finally meet up with him, and
Yep. So finally interviewed him
maybe
a
one of
few
the
years
other
ago.
guys will be hanging out over there too.
There's a good chance. I mean,
You can very easily meet Jimmy McMurray
it,
or do one of the other
yeah, it's like
three.
Here you go, sitting at the desk. Here's Chris Myers, Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer, and then me. It's like
I can
one
be
of
like, hey,
these.
we've done
What?
110 episodes of a podcast now.
It's right. Well, I've done 115 episodes of my other show or something like that. So but it's like, could you
You've been on air
imagine?
enough.
Could you imagine you turn on the pre-race show and you have Chris, Kevin, Clint, and then me sitting at the desk?
I'm gonna be sitting there watching, and I'm gonna be like, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" Like, look at the TV.
Look who's sitting at the desk.
It's like, is that? Yeah,
Yep. Yes, it
that's him.
is. Yes, it is. But yes, that's my goal is I got to get on the pre-race show.
I'd probably say something else, but I'll keep it clean for broadcast.
I'll, hand me my microphone. I'm like, hey, how's it going, FCC? No, I wouldn't do
Get everybody in trouble.
that. The guy who got NASCAR banned from Fox.
Fox is not going after Formula One, so
Nope.
neither
I,
is ESPN.
I heard a rumor that Apple is going to go after it.
Oh, so much for watching Formula One in the
Well,
States, dude.
it's like you can subscribe to. I don't even know what Apple TV costs because I get it part of my iCloud subscription, but it's
You Apple users.
I know. We are the Apple users. We are cool and trendy. Long live Steve Jobs. Oh, wait. Oops.
Cringe.
Long live Tim Cook. There we go. On that note, I think it's time to wrap.
Be sure to give us a follow, Spotify, anywhere else that you follow along on podcasts. Appreciate all your listens.
I mean, still don't know why you listen, but we appreciate it.
Yeah,
So,
we enjoy doing this, so it gives us something to do on Wednesday nights, and we broadcast it and get it out on Fridays and then syndication on Saturday.
Yep. Check it out. Stadium Scene TV, noon on Saturdays and Sunday. Look for me on Fox. Or is it on Fox or FS1? I don't know.
I don't know. They change. They say Fox. Come on, be on Fox,
Let's be.
not one of your 10,000 other networks
Schedule.
channels.
Ah, it's on FS1. Get out of here.
I'll have to remember that.
Yeah, broadcast is on FS1.
I'm sure there's cribbage on
Cable.
Fox.
I guess you can watch me on cable then if you subscribe. So,
So tune in NASCAR on Sunday. See if the co-host is on TV there.
yep, and look for the hat. That's the way to find me. Come say hi. I don't bite. Maybe
See,
I'll take a picture with you. Yeah, act like I'm some kind of celebrity or something.
I need to hope he doesn't get on TV because if he gets hired there, then I got to do this by myself. And I don't really feel like that.
No, 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 no. You're coming
Oh,
too.
actually,
Fox
okay, perfect.
Fox hires me. This show's going to Fox.
2 for 1 package. All
That's
right,
right.
deal.
Yeah, or Amazon Prime or whoever wants to syndicate this. Why I don't know, but hey, if they want to hire us,
I'm
I will
available.
hook you up with my agent. That
Don't
I
tell my employer.
Yeah, don't tell mine either, but we'll hook you up with my agent who doesn't exist at the moment because I don't have an agent, so we'll figure something out.
I will be my own agent, and I do well. Last thing before we sign off here, I like getting crank calls because I will answer the phone. We're like, "Hi, may I talk to Eric Richardson?" I'm like, yeah, and may I ask who's calling? Get the information. All right, let me check and see if he's in right now.
Yeah, Mr.
And
Richardson, let me check and see if Mr. Richardson is here.
yeah, hi, this is Eric Richardson. May I ask who's calling? Then I try to get them to hang up on me. Usually it happens.
Yeah. Anyway, fracingonline.com. Subscribe to our mailing list. We got some giveaways here coming up here. So if you're on the mailing list, go to fracingonline.com/mailing list or click the link on the front page of the website. Sign up for the mailing list. You'll get first dibs on the giveaway contest. So um, thanks for watching.
Thanks for tuning in. Take care.